acceptance.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the tech capital of the world, Kernersville, North Carolina. I'm the CEO and founder of Foundry, Kevin. And it looks like Elon did it. Is he buying Twitter? I mean, that's what it's looking like.
It looks that way. It looks like it's a done deal. Well, I mean, other than whatever extra things they need to do as far as legality wise, they accepted the offer. Which we talked about it before it happened, like off camera. We're like, I don't think will they take this? We're like, well, if they're thinking about it from a business perspective, they'll take it.
Yeah.
But,
right. Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, that seems to be done.
It does have to get through the SEC, so you don't just, whatever you plan to do about Twitter, you don't have to quit just yet. It may not go through. But I thought, a lot of people have all their demands that they're putting on Elon Musk, and a lot of hilarious tweets out there that are pretty funny. But I have two demands for Elon Musk, and I think that he should listen to me right now. Number one,
what are they?
We absolutely have to have an edit button. Like every other social media platform on the planet has an edit button. Put that thing in there.
Or you can pay for the 60-second edit button. Twitter Blue right now, you can pay your $5 a month. You can get to edit it for 60 seconds. I pay for that because I always send something out and then I'm like, oh man, I always see it immediately afterwards. So I'm like, oh, I typed in that, so I'll fix it. But
and then when you're tweeting, what you do a lot on your phone, autocorrect for whatever reason just sometimes doesn't autocorrect correctly. It just just feel like turning it off sometimes. But the second feature is we have to keep Twitter bootstrap. I mean, that is, you can say what you want about free speech, but we need Twitter bootstrap to stay in here. So that's the thing that we need to have. Don't kill that project.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what? Because that is interesting. What will happen with that? Like, what's his aim with this? Because obviously we keep hearing about this. Like he wants to, he's buying it not for business reasons but for free speech reasons and whatever. It's like, I'm not sure I totally buy that. I think ultimately he is a businessman. He's not going to just throw money away. I don't think. At least $44 billion he's not going to throw away, right?
I think here's the other thing. If you want my how to make money on this right off the bat, is sell the blue check. You could sell the blue check right away, and I think people would pay for it.
Yeah,
you could probably raise, I don't know, 10 million probably tomorrow if everyone could get blue check verified.
I think if you pay for Twitter Blue, the blue check should kind of come along with it. It proves that you're kind of a person. For whatever criteria you have to go to prove you're a person, it's like you should be able to get that. And he has said a few times that every validated human being on Twitter will get a blue check. So that is something that he's obviously thinking about. He just think about the spam side of it. But there's the whole free speech thing, which he's going to hit some kind of a weird. We talked about this morning. He's going to have a weird time with that. It's just going to be weird because what is it and what is it? It's different everywhere in the world, and it's different. Like, what rules do you like? I saw a story this morning. The EU are already like, watch what you're doing because we'll end up banning it. Like. There's already that kind of pushback. And he hasn't even bought the thing yet. He's just
exactly. It's slow your roll there, EU. I haven't got it yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure that initially he'll own it day one and nothing will change. I'm pretty sure that. And then he's going to get his hands around moderation policies. He'll probably talk to the people and say, "Here's the challenges we face." Yeah. Is he going to open source the moderation algorithm? I guess. I mean, should he? I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, is it digestible to most humans? Probably not. I mean, does that really matter? I mean,
I feel weird about that because it's one of those things where if you open it up, does that just open it up to the people who need to be able to game it more, rather than just the regular public? You're right. Sure.
Yeah. So definitely the bots will use that to get around it. So I wouldn't open source it. That's for sure. I wouldn't do that. I understand transparency, but at the same time, Anyway, so we'll see. It's interesting times. These things don't change hands like this often. It's it's kind of crazy that it happens.
It is. It is definitely. I mean, let me put up a. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put up a poll. Let's put up a poll. See who's. Let's do a who's quitting Twitter. And let's do a me. And let's do a no quit for me. And let's do a let's throw that poll up there in chat and see, because there is a lot of talk about that. People are like, I'm just gonna quit. Like, are you really?
Are you really gonna quit?
I don't know. What do you guys think? Quitting Twitter? Yes or no? We'll come back to that in a second. once you guys have answered that in chat.
You didn't put the hilarious third one was what's Twitter? You know, I mean, that's what you should have put in there.
Like, who cares? Hey, if you don't care, just don't answer. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think even no matter what happens with it, it's still going to be. We were talking about it this morning. It's still going to be a valuable tool for like business cases, right? It still has a business use.
Yeah.
It still has a networking use.
Yes,
there's still going to be 100%. People on there, so
yeah,
it still has value.
I think so, and I think with the mute and all the other kind of tools you have, you can really craft your feed or whatever. So
right, I think that's going to be the thing. Like, what are my personal like moderation tools? Yeah. Right. How can I tailor it to what I want it to be? Because
I can tell you, if you looked at my feed doesn't really have anything but what I want to see, really. Very rare. Every now and then something will get sprinkled in there and I'm like, I don't know. You know, but like for the most part, I see a lot of stuff about coding in my feed.
Yeah. I'll say in general, my Twitter feed is way better than my Facebook feed. I've kind of abandoned Facebook. I really don't use it anymore because I got sick of seeing things I got sick of things that I didn't want to see. And I kept muting them and saying, I don't want to see this, and I would still see it from different sources. I'm like, I'm just done with it. I can't tailor it to what I want it to be. Whereas I think Twitter, I have a better handle on it. I think I can tailor it more to what I want, and they kind of tend to listen. So
the other thing too that's interesting, you know, when you think about your feed on Twitter, it does get pushed in there. But then when I compare that to my YouTube feed, which I can just click the subscribers button, and that's my entire feed, and very rarely does anything come in there that's not in Twitter or in YouTube, the things I want to talk about, you know, or you know.
Well, obviously into your subscription feed it doesn't, but I will say YouTube does a pretty good job of that front page.
Yeah.
Where that is subscriptions. They do a really good job of like filling that with stuff that I do want to watch. They're actually really good about that. And stuff that I don't watch, they don't put back up there. So I think it's very good.
Man, we already got a 6-month contract hire at Tech Systems. All right, cool. Let's talk to Luke.
Yeah, awesome. How long should I stay at how long should I stay at my first C# job? Hold on, let me push that back up there. On a 6-month contract hire at Tech Systems placement, does it look better to continue or get a new contract?
I think you can sit there for a year if you want to. I mean, the contract, here's the thing about contracting that people really underestimate. If you're good at what you do, you're going to have full-time employment. There's really very little risk to being a contractor versus a WT employee, because like you do control, you get to work in different places. It's good. So, you know, what I would do is make sure that you're working for Tech Systems now, finish the 6-month contract so that you have good rep with them. And then allow them to see what's next for you. Maybe you get renewed and you stay out there for another year, or maybe you talk to your recruiter and go, you know what, what other opportunities are there out there for me? And then you can always also pursue that FT role if that makes you feel better, and you get 401k and benefits. And I know the benefits with Tech isn't great, but you can also buy that on your own as well. So, but yeah, I think I think you should stay there 6 months for sure. 1 year, and then once you get 1 year on it, the world does open up for you. So
it's also this thing within tech, isn't there, where it's like it's okay to switch jobs. Like it's not frowned upon. It's really not like other jobs where it's like flipping burgers and you're switching every 6 months, which we'll talk about flipping burgers in a second.
Exactly.
But changing jobs every complicated. Yeah, historically, changing jobs every 6 months has been a bad sign. It's like this person either can't commit, or they keep getting fired, or whatever it is. Like it looks bad. As a developer, it doesn't. Like it's okay. You can just say I had a contract position. It's fine. Like that doesn't. And there's people that work contracts permanently, right? They just enjoy being in different places, and the kind of the variation of work is appealing to some.
But eventually, having a 1 to 2 year stint somewhere is also good. I mean, so you know. I wouldn't move every 6 months, but a 2-year stint somewhere is good. So you can settle in and find your place at a company. So good luck, Luke. You're on your way to a very profitable career. Good job, man.
Definitely. Love it. And you're breaking it at literally the best time.
Exactly. It's the best year ever.
We're making a video about that. It's like, it's never been better. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. Let's talk about flipping burgers. Because I saw this story and I thought we have to talk about this real quick. So even you can't even lean back on getting a burger job these days, right? It's like the robots are taking over, right? So you got to be coding these days to go back into flip burgers.
Someone coded that robot though, man. 100%.
I thought that was really interesting. It's like even the coders are flipping burgers now, just with electronic robot arms. You know,
it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, it's a couple of inputs. You know, you've got heat, temperature. What temperature is the thing at? You know, you can measure that. It's measurable. And then flipping, you can program a robot to flip a burger.
I'm guessing. Well, yeah, because think about it. If you think about like the main chains, right? Like Jack in the Box is the example here. But if you think about like McDonald's or a Burger King or whatever, like they have like they give the employees like these. It's not a free for all. They don't just throw you a burger and be like, "Hey, make me a Big Mac or whatever it is," right? They have a set thing. They have to. They train for it, right? They train to make this thing, and it's very like it's supposed to be consistent. And the human element kind of makes it inconsistent. Whereas with a robot, you could.
So I'm wondering if it's going to do the whole like put it on the bun, add the mayo or whatever, the lettuce and all that stuff.
I don't know.
Or is it just cooking them?
Or is it just cooking it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But I think technically you could have an assembly line that makes the whole thing, right? So
and then based on the orders coming in, you could have components, and it says, okay, for this one I need these 3 components. Yeah, it's possible, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was kind of a new place for people to go work and go work at McDonald's down the road, literally coding up some burgers.
Coding them up, man.
Yeah.
It'd be really easy for Chick-fil-A. They make one thing, make a chicken sandwich.
It's just chicken, yeah.
One sandwich. They got a grilled option. They got 2 sandwiches. So.
Yep. There you go. This is funny. I guess Unsatiable Optimus isn't a big Jack in the Box fan. We don't have Jack in the Box around here.
I know.
Anyway. It's probably true. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had one. Maybe I've had one once. I might have had one when we went out to San Diego. I don't remember.
Yeah, I've had one. I mean, they're okay. I mean,
Hold on, you can't just throw this out there. You got to say allegedly in front of that, because you're gonna
allegedly.
You're gonna have an issue with that. You've now put it in writing. I believe that now makes it liable, right?
Yeah. Get you banned from YouTube.
Exactly.
Disinformation.
Exactly. Jack in the Box are going to be around here searching all people's YouTube videos. Be like, they said we serve horsemen. I don't think that, by the way. We as Coder Foundry do not think that.
Nah, I think they got.
I'm sure it's some kind of beef.
Beans.
Could be beans. Could be beans. Oh, hey, one thing I didn't tell you about, actually. I put it on Discord this morning. One of the Discord members, and I will give him a name check here in a second.
Okay. Got some books, a book bundle.
Yeah, there's a book bundle. Yeah, and it's I want to give the right person the name check because they did put it up there. Hold on, where are we? Book suggestions. There we go. It was Ricardo on Discord. So he put this book bundle up there, and I was like, oh, okay. So it's a humble book bundle. You can pay if you pay $18, you get all the books, all 26. Look at this selection. There's some good stuff in here. There is what did I see? There was some really good ones in here.
Jeez.
There was an AR one somewhere here, which I thought was kind of cool. There's a Blazer book.
Stylish F sharp, not that plain
stylish,
F sharp.
I know, not that boring stuff. Yeah. There's .NET Core 3. There's this practical
Paint.net.
Practical Paint.net. I thought that was funny. But there's an absolute beginners one, which I thought was kind of cool. And then there was an AR VR one somewhere. Where did I see that one? Did I just pass it?
There
here you go.
Right on there.
Guide to Augmented Reality. Yeah, so some good books in here.
Yeah, because they're using IO kit. Yeah, the Swift kit. Yeah, so
some
AR kit
for $18. That's a pretty good deal. You can pay $1 and just get these 4 if you wanted to.
Okay,
not as interesting.
That practical Paint.net, man. That's the one I want.
But you do get this one. You do get the Absolute Beginners book for $1.
Yeah.
So it's like it is one of those pay whatever you want things. So or you can give more, and it all goes to charity. So cool. Let me grab that link and I will throw it in chat. If you're interested in that, it's not an affiliate link or anything. It is just a
link.
One. There we go. It's in chat. So yeah, if you're interested in that, which I thought was kind of cool, you can go grab that. Good little thing. Okay. You want to talk about coding game, or you want to do some questions?
Yeah, let's talk about coding games. So like one of the things that you're going to see, we're making a video about this, but like I was talking to one of our hiring partners here at inside of Coder Foundry, and they're interviewing candidates mid to seniors to juniors. And before, we've been working with them for several years. Before, they'd always go through interview with HR. You got 2 technical interviews, and they're in-person technical interviews. And we were giving them feedback the whole time and saying, hey, sometimes they over-interview, sometimes, they ask questions. And so you turn candidates off through this long process. Yeah. And we talked to them last week, and they said, we're going to quit doing that. And our evaluations can come through Coding Game, that's what I call it, because that's how it says.
But it's actually codinggame.com. And I'll put this in chat when we finish talking about this in a second.
It's coding, just like if you're from the South, so there's not 2 G's in it. So I know it's Coding Game. And so, so I tried a couple out, and they're pretty cool. So it's pretty neat. Basically you write code, and then as you make your answer, the answer is displayed as a video game. And so you're not programming video games per se. Yeah. A lot of these are classic coding challenges that you would get in otherwise. It's just that, hey, if you're reversing an array, that concept is based on what you can do. And so here's the one where you got to figure out what the highest one is, and it shoots at the highest one, or it wrecks.
Got it. Yep. Yeah, so you can see you could basically put your code in here, and you run these test cases through it. And you get points when you've successfly played all your test case, and you submit it.
And you get XP, and so you get it's gamified, so it's pretty cool. So if you want to practice writing some code, you can do it in any language you want. Pretty much, they have 9 or 10 languages.
Yeah, that's what's cool. Yeah, you can choose your language up here. It was there's more than 9 or 10. There's a bunch. Yeah, almost anything. I mean, if you fluent in Pascal,
JavaScript, C#, Pascal, VB.net. I mean, there's. There's a lot of them in here. So no matter what language you're coding in, you can come in our Coding Game. And they didn't pay us to talk about it. We just thought it was cool. And I tried 2 or 3 of them now, and I think it's pretty cool. And I noticed that some of the problems in the easy and the medium ones were traditional coding challenges, things that you would see otherwise, but you're outputting them to the console. Here, you output your answer to the console, and then it picks that up and then pulls that into the game, and then you can see your answer work or fail. So it's pretty interesting.
Here's what I like too. This is actually linked to getting a job, by the way.
Yeah, they have a great good job section here. Yeah.
So you can put in what your requirements are and where you're looking to work. And I'm guessing if you do really well on this, I'm guessing if you get a massive amount of XP, somebody's going to contact you.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. So in the classic to medium, I liked them. Then once you go into hard, that became very video game oriented, where it was pathfinding algorithms and those kind of things. So that was more towards video game programming. So I didn't like those as much, but doesn't mean that that's not something that you could learn how to do pretty easily. So it's a good place to practice. Several things that you can program in the easy section and in the medium section. Lots of content there. So check it out. You may see it when you're interviewing for a job. They might send you a Coding Game link, and you're like, man, I'm glad I practiced on this a little bit.
Right. I threw that in chat too. So
it's pretty neat.
It's down there. Let's end our poll real quick before we do some questions. And it was, where'd it go? Where'd my poll go? There you go. So who's quitting Twitter? 84% of people aren't quitting. Only 15% are.
Okay.
So from our little poll there.
84% of the people like Elon Musk. So
is that what we're saying? Is that the correlation we're making there? 84% of people here right now, you guys love Elon Musk.
That's what you just didn't know it when you answered that,
Yeah.
That's how the news does stuff. They'll take a poll and then change it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's clearly that means this, right? Well, that's not what I meant it to mean.
I think it means that I really don't care who owns Twitter. I'm still going to use it. So.
Right. Yep.
Doesn't matter to me.
True. It's probably true. Okay, we go, and I have some of your questions queued up here. But if you do have questions, throw them in chat. We will get to them in the order that they come in, or the order that I see fit. If you want to super chat, you can do that, and you can jump the queue. So you can do that at any point, and we will guarantee we answer those ones. Otherwise, we will answer as many as we can.
And if you just want to buy us tacos today, you can super chat too. Get us a little taco action going on. So thanks, Luke, for already super chatting us today. So
yes,
appreciate it.
Thank you, Luke. We appreciate it. Better questions. You guys leaving Twitter?
No.
No plans right now. It'd have to go drastically downhill for me to to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just wait and see, you know, like, but I mean, to me, here's how I look at this. If I'm deriving a benefit out of it, then I'm going to keep doing it, and then try to use the moderation and
you got to make it the way that
make
you
it
want
work for you. I mean, like, just don't up and quit and then remove yourself from that community.
Yep. I think obviously, so obviously this is about this. I'm going to start using it for free speech, and it is, but it's also this like, what is free speech, right?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to define.
It's not easy. It's not easy to define.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. I mean, obviously, there's some things in the Supreme Court here in the U.S. that they've talked about it. So like, and I'm not a free speech expert on this by any stretch of the imagination.
Right, I'm not either. I just know what I just have my own opinion on it. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
But I know that it's a complex thing. It's not just, you can't just say free speech for everybody, because no matter who you are, there is a line. There is definitely a line.
And you also can't moderate Twitter with humans. Like there's too much data. You couldn't hire enough people to do it. Yeah. So like there's too data. So once you start automating the moderation, which is what Twitter's doing right now, you're going to have some things that don't pass the mustard. Now, the one thing I would say, my one criticism about YouTube, and it's the same thing about Twitter, is like, if you do get struck down, there seemingly isn't a really good review option to state your case, especially on YouTube. We know we've been through that, where
you have to reach when we started,
our YouTube channel got struck down 6 or 7 years ago, and we started over. I mean, you remember that? Like it just like went away. We're like, what did we do? Like we didn't have any strikes. There was no copyright. They just said, I forget what it was. We were banned. I forget
what it was either. I forget what it was. But we weren't really using it. We had some like promotional content on it. It wasn't something that we were actively. It wasn't what we're doing now. It wasn't even close. Yeah. I mean, you weren't on there. It was more promotional stuff. It was like student interviews and stuff. And all of a sudden, they like shut the channel down. It was like, for what? Like, and and you can't contact anybody. It was ridiculous. We had like we had no subscribers. Like the content was like, we're just pushing out like promotional content.
So we started over.
What's happening here? So we just so we started over. It's just weird.
But we lost our good name of Coder Foundry, so now we're Coder Foundry Bootcamp. So we couldn't get the name back either.
Get it back. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, once it got like went into that cycle, it just didn't recycle back out again, and we've never been able to get it back. Kind of weird. So yeah, that's a difficult thing. With that amount of data, there's always the issue of like, how do you moderate it? Right.
Yeah. How do you get it 90% right, or 80% right, or 85% right? So in that range.
Right. Yep. Yep. Oh, that's funny. See, we can't be having this kind of stuff. This is what's going to get you banned from Twitter, man. This is the kind of thing, right?
Man.
Yeah. Like what's going on? Like you can't just say that.
Yeah. I mean, just don't say HTML is a programming language, if you just want to start wars,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's do some questions then. Let's see. Well, not a question first, but Ridge Raider finally picked up a Moleskine notebook.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta have the notebook.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, man, it's going to change. Just take notes, detailed notes in every meeting that you're in, and then review them, and then go over the ones that you didn't feel like you did as well, and then research those, and they'll just add to your knowledge. And then you will start being able to see patterns in the interviewing. So once you have, and you start looking back, you'll say, okay, I've been asked this question 7 times now. Like, people keep asking the same question. How can I make that answer better? How can I elaborate it more? What kind of example could I bring to it? That's what we want. That's what we mean by getting better, is making your answers not only just academic. What is MVC? Model View Controller, but like, how do I expand upon that? How do I show that in a demo? How do I talk about a specific example to better answer that, So, and that's, review allows you to do that. Here at Coder Foundry, we get to talk to students, and we see what people are asking, and we can kind of see those patterns, but like, you'll see them too. So good job.
Yeah, I like, the Moleskines are nice too.
Yeah.
I think I have a Moleskine.
Got several.
I go through different ones, but I try and buy those ones. They are good quality. You do pay more for them, I get it, but they are good quality. Yeah, the one I have right now is a Moleskine. But I go through them. So.
Paula Souls, my right to free speech.
See, this is where it's a problem, right?
love Alex, man. He's funny. He makes me laugh on a daily basis, pretty much. You don't know this, Alex. You bring joy to my life. So like, buddy.
There you go. So. There you go. And actually, why Alex is up here too? Let's say he says, "Don't scan that QR." Alex, trust me. You can scan the QR code. It's fine. That reminds me. You can enter our giveaway up here. Scan that QR code. Trust us. Like, I wouldn't say trust everybody, but you can trust us.
Yeah. It just takes you to a form, fill it out, win a laptop. Be kind of cool.
Yep, a laptop, a year's worth of course access, and a VR headset.
Oculus. If you can still get them at the time we get to 100,000, so hopefully we'll get there.
Right.
We're not 80 years old when we get to 100.
Nah, we'll be good.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do our next.
83,000. So we got a few more to go.
Yeah. Okay. Cena, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, says, how long after working in a junior role can you ask for a raise?
I think 1 year is the standard. Yeah, I mean, and then maybe they'll give you a review. So it's not 3 weeks. It's not 3 months.
Yeah.
It
could be 6, but it depends on like how well you think you've done.
Yeah, and here's what I would say for your first role, your first junior role. It's not for the money, and we're working for money. Yes, we need to get paid, but the second role is where you can make a jump in pay. And honestly, moving around is going to increase your pay more than raises from any particular company. So, but I would stay in my first role for 6 months to 1 year, and then see where you're at that point.
Yeah, because you can definitely, at that point, that 1 year's experience is going to get you a pay jump, whether it be at the same company or you can definitely get it somewhere else.
Yeah.
No question. Unless they just like give you a ridiculous salary to start off with, which,
Yeah, we don't know what you're making now. Yeah, so,
Yeah, it can happen. Let's see. Devotional Digest says, how is C# development on a Mac? I've always wanted to switch to a Mac, but I'm concerned about development experience for persons who use Visual Studio and IIS, for example.
So we've talked about this quite a bit, but I use a Mac and I'm running Parallels on that Mac, and it is on a Mac Intel based. So I use Visual Studio Windows on a Mac using Parallels. I do know there's been some improvements on the M1 side of this, and I haven't looked lately to see kind of what Parallels is at, the state is.
Well, I think if you're going to go native, it's okay. Like if you're going all native and it's like using Visual Studio natively on the Mac, it's not an issue. You can get all these things you can get around. It's more of an issue if you're going for the Windows side of things on an M1. You've got to run.
So here's what I would say. Windows. Yeah, if you want to run an M1 Mac, what I would do right now today is probably use Writer. I do think they have a better experience on Visual Studio on Mac side. Visual Studio for Mac is a different product than Visual Studio for Windows. Now they're trying to get those on par, but they're not the same. And I haven't used them to see what the actual differences are or how good or bad it is. But like, and then you don't have to use ISS. There's a lot of other web servers that come loaded with Visual Studio anyway. So I don't think that's really an issue. I think both of those will work equally well on one or the other. There's just some different features and templates and things that aren't on the Mac side that are on the Windows side.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking for like advice online and stuff, you are going to have to make sure that whatever you're looking up is either based on the Intel-based Macs or the M1-based Macs, because they are parallels, because they are totally different. Yeah. And you'll find people will just look and be like, can I run Visual Studio on the Mac like native in Windows? People would be like, yeah. And they're talking, it's from like 2 years ago, and they're talking about an Intel-based Mac where it was fine. Yeah. Now the M1 stuff, you got to run an ARM version of Windows, so it's like it's just not the same.
I do think that the M1 and Windows running on an M1 will be a thing. I do think there's some contractual things between Microsoft and like ARM and the deals they've signed. Yeah. Once those expire, I think they'll allow it to run on, or be allowed to let it run on that M1.
Yep.
So, but we'll see. I would try Visual Studio. Maybe I need to try it on the Mac to see in parity what the differences are.
I looked at it once and it looks like a totally different product.
Yeah.
It looks totally different.
I do know that the latest Mac version of Visual Studio is native to Mac. So that is a native app. It wasn't before, so now it is. So I think you can get it done, and then you can look at other products like Writer, who has apparently, according to reviews, a really good experience on the Mac.
Yeah. And if you're doing just VS Code, it's the same.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, that's really good.
The same. Yeah.
Yeah, I use VS Code routinely on both sides of Parallels and on the Mac side sometimes. I know that sounds weird, but like I have it installed on both sides of my computer.
Yep. Okay.
Right, I hope that helps, man.
Let's see. Kome, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Kome Nathaniel says, Imposter Syndrome is a serious case for me. This mostly happens when I see people on Twitter or LinkedIn showcase their mind-blowing websites or applications. How do you tackle feeling like this?
So number one, don't judge yourself based on what other people do. So if someone has a mind-blowing website or application, go, wow, that's really cool. And then start looking into like, what are the things that I can do? What can I bring to the table? So you got to realize, like, so many times imposters are comparing themselves to a 20-year veteran,
right,
instead of the other 1 year or 2 year people around them and what they can really do. So quit judging yourself on what others do and just focus on what you can do and what you bring to the table and what things you can do. Now, I think you should look at mind-blowing websites and applications, because you can look into that and go, oh, I like how they did that. How did they do that? Or like what? So use it more for inspiration and not a negative connotation like I suck. You know, like, no, I'm gonna build that, or I'm gonna build that one day. So I think you can definitely do that. You know, you also got to understand that sometimes people show things on Twitter that maybe was built by several people and it wasn't built by them
right
routinely. You know, like, so you got to understand not everything on Twitter is exactly as it seems, or on LinkedIn is exactly like it seems.
Yeah.
You know,
it's the same as like the Instagram thing, right? You look at someone's life on Instagram and it's like all happy and everything. You look, you know, behind the scenes, it's definitely not that. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Instagram, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard 2 years ago looked great.
Right, exactly.
Not looking good right now.
No, so we find out not so much.
Not a happy couple there, you know, like they need to figure something out. So basically focus on what you know and quit, and don't really judge yourselves towards others. Look to others for inspiration, and then constantly be on the path of creating value wherever you're at and increasing your skill set, and stay committed to your craft, and you'll always be employed.
That's it. Yep. Let's put this one slightly out of order, but Reswell had an interview today, demoed a bug tracker, got on offer the same day. There you go. Fantastic. Love to hear that.
That's amazing.
Love to hear
Good job, man.
Yeah, good job.
So that's what I'm talking about. Demo that bug tracker. Demo anything. I mean, really, we think the bug tracker is the perfect project, but like we think it's essential to what you do. But demo. It should be the goal of any interview. So we're glad we helped in a small way.
Definitely. And
awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay. Gene Solo says, what are some good websites to check for salary ranges based on state? Currently living in Massachusetts, and want to know what an entry-level developer should expect to make.
There's salary.com. There's a lot of these. Payscale.com. There's a lot of these.
Yeah, salary, Payscale. I think Glassdoor or something like that too. But I would also say look at individual jobs as well, rather than just
see what they're hiring for. So here's the thing: if you're trying to break in for the very first time, I'm going to caution you this. You can look at Payscale, and sometimes those ranges can be inflated, or maybe it's not, because they are ranges, and it does depend on what you actually know as an entry-level developer. So the first job is just to get experience, and then make sure you're getting paid so you can eat and those kind of things. But remember that you're building a career, not the one first job out here. So you're not going to make, like people say that I make 125,000 and all I know is HTML emails. It's not true. I mean, like, they may have an uncle that owns a company and they get paid that way, but it's just not true. So what you can do is it true 5 years from now? Yeah. Is it true 3 to 5 years from now? Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
So look at it as a starting point.
Everybody's history is equal, is it? Not everybody's background is the same. Things you definitely don't know.
Yeah. So just focus on getting experience.
Okay. Let's see. Chess says, how do I find front-end jobs that are actually entry-level?
I don't know, man. If they're willing to hire you, they think it's entry-level. It's what they're willing to pay, and learn as much as you can on that job.
You don't search for entry-level, right? It's not something you actually... So you don't go into the thing and be like, entry-level. You have to kind of like read between the lines sometimes. And you also have to be brave applying for things that don't necessarily come across as entry-level, but probably are. They'll put requirements in there that needs to be, needs to have 2 years experience. If I saw something and it had less than, and it was like these 2 years experience, I still apply for it. If you have the rest of the skills, like don't worry about the time they're asking for, just go for it. Just be brave. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're just never going to get a communication from them. Or you're going to know. So like, who cares?
Yeah. They're not putting you on a global list, Chaz applied.
Exactly. Exactly. Chaz applied,
his success rate is
forever.
2%. Yeah. He's 2% success rate. We can't hire him. It's like, they're not keeping stats on you. So like apply as many things as you can. And then try to really look at the skills that they're looking for and see if they match up with yours. And if you go out there and you look at enough jobs and you're like, hey, none of my skills match, maybe that tells you like, okay, maybe I need to learn some more things, or maybe if I pick up this, then I would have a better look, a better success rate. Front end jobs is a loaded question. Like, I mean, there's a lot of roles inside of front end.
There is.
So like, so I don't know, some front end jobs aren't entry level. No, they're not. They're looking for a seasoned React dev or a seasoned Angular dev, or they're looking for a UI UX design with 5 years experience. But there's a lot of front ends out there, front end dev jobs that are entry level for sure. 1 to 2 year experience, apply. So,
go for it.
Just especially if you have a good portfolio.
Back to your previous thing about starting your first job, by the way. So Paul sharing his salary. Thanks for sharing, Paul.
Yeah.
So, first job he got 24, second was 80, and his third he just moved to, and it's a secret.
It's a secret.
He took a pay cut? Oh wow! It's like
we don't think he took a pay cut.
No, that's awesome. I'm sure Paul's making 400,000 now, right? That's
it.
Tacos all around from Paul. Paul's buying.
Tacos on. Yeah, why don't you super chat that with all that money, Paul?
No, but that's your typical thing, right? That's typical. Actually, 24 is obviously low. We've seen we tend to see like. In the past, we've seen 40s, 50s, and then we've seen 70s, 60s, 70s.
In the last 6 months, but
in the last 6 months, that entry one's been like even higher. So we've been 60s and 70s, and then we've been into 80s and 90s, and then into 6 figures. It's quicker, and it's going it's starting higher. So let's see. Sriam, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, wants to know, how is the demand for PHP?
So it depends on where you live. Go look. Just know that PHP is primarily in WordPress development. I mean, so just know that going in. There are some other PHP roles where people are building things. I do think it's smaller than if you don't want to do WordPress and you're saying I'm going to do web development with PHP. I've turned down some PHP roles here in the last 3 months. So I do know there's some demand out there, but I don't think it's as big as, say, .NET or JavaScript front end. But there's demand out there. And so like you can look in your area to see kind of what are people looking for. But just go to a job board and type in PHP dev and see, what they're hiring for. What do they really, really need? Is it WordPress development, or are we building full stack with PHP? And just kind of see what's out there. So I will say this. Python, PHP, JavaScript, C#, Java, Go, all of these languages in their niches are going to have a lot of demand for them. So like where we rep .NET a lot, it doesn't mean there aren't any PHP roles. We've had people leave the cohort here with the .NET background and then go into a PHP role because we have a hiring partner. That's what they use. And so, there's demand out there for it, for sure. As long as WordPress is based on PHP, it's always going to be that.
Yeah, it's always going to skew those figures, isn't it? Too.
Unless
when you look at those
someone rewrites WordPress. I mean, that could happen, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I think isn't WordPress leaning more towards? Don't they use React now?
Some for component stuff and custom and we'll see.
Yep. Let me just address this real quick. So we're talking about like Paul's initial salary at 24. It says yes, don't do what I do. No, Paul, 100% do what Paul did.
Yeah, what we're saying is. Get a first job, get experience, get the second job, boom.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Let's look what happened. If you hadn't taken that first job, Paul, you may never have gotten one.
80K would have happened, and then the super secret salary, with the Tesla as the bonus wouldn't happen either.
Yeah. Because so while it might have worked for you, and I know it would have worked for you because you're the kind of guy who's just going to go after it no matter what.
Yeah.
Some people will turn down that 24K offer, and they'll never ever get another offer. We've seen this in the past. I mean, maybe not with the market being the way that it is now. I don't know. But we've certainly seen it in the past where they missed the first opportunity and then never get another one.
Yeah. I know. And so like, I had a guy, he turned out 55K offer. It's unbelievable that they as much as I preach that, and he's still looking. So I'm hoping that
right.
it works out for him.
Right. Yep. So he should have taken it.
Should take the money, Toombs.
Yep.
So if you're watching, I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying.
You should have taken it.
I still want you to win, though. I still want you to win, but you should have took the offer. So.
Let's see. Jonathan says, how much time should someone spend on a language before moving on /up?
I don't know if you move on, or move up. I guess moving on or up, it's like, I don't know. So a lot of people think coding is the collection of learning how to code 7 languages, and what I've always say is this: forget about the language, figure out what you want to build, and build a website or build a mobile site or build a desktop app or build a machine learning or a data science type application. All of those have stacks inside of those that will tell you what to do. I think it's way better to dive deep into something like ASP.NET and really know that really well with C#, JavaScript, and HTML than saying, yeah, I've done a little Python, a little PHP, I've done some Go, I've done some Java, I've done some C#. I know a little bit about all of them. I would say dive deep into building websites. If you don't know what to build, I would say pick websites. As we saw in our Hired article that came out last week, the #1 job in America still is full stack web dev. It's the most demand, period. Yep. Still, the primary way we're delivering applications is through full stack web development. So that's where all the jobs are. So if you're trying to break in, pick that. And that limits what languages you need to know, which I can tell you is HTML, CSS, JavaScript for sure. That's the front end, and then a server-side language on the back, and then SQL/LINQ is the other thing that you need to know to do that. And then just focusing on that stack and get really good at it, get paid, and you can carve a career out. And then as you're developing your career and you're still learning more, then you can branch off and learn something new if you want to take on Unity or a side project in Python with data science or something like that, and then go do it. So.
Okay.
I just want you to be employed, Jonathan. That's all. I just want you to make a lot of money doing it.
Okay, Malik says, is backend engineer a general job, or like you have to be website backend engineer or software, etc., etc.?
So I think depending on where you're from if you're not from the U.S. and you're outside the U.S., the term software engineer has a different word than what we use it here. We use them interchangeably as like generalized titles. I think in the UK and sometimes in the Far East, they use software engineer as a different type of title that has a different set of criteria, and it makes you do different things. But if we're talking about backend engineer, typically here in the US, we're talking about websites, because websites have backends. Desktop applications could have a backend to it, but that's typically SQL Server, or it could be your desktop app is backed with some kind of service backend, which is still web backend, like Web API REST services. So I think the titles here are used interchangeably all throughout the US. And you just got to know what you want to build and then apply to those types of jobs. So, but typically backend engineer, they're talking about web application development. Hope that helps.
Again, I'm going to put this out of order real quick. Reswa also said, I bypassed all the algorithm data structure challenges by taking my time to demo my project confidently. I think we've kind of been saying that for a minute.
We have. And so people think I'm crazy that, like I get pushback all the time, and I understand that I can't predict this 100% of the time. There are people out there that are very stubborn in their interview process, and we're doing this, and this. And if you go with that, we don't like you, so they're very militant about what they do. But I would tell you the amount of times that I've talked to hiring managers and I've demoed my own stuff and trying to sell things, a demo is so much more powerful. And they're just trying to figure out if you can code or not. And the only way a lot of hiring managers think they understand is if you code is say, well, can you solve this binary search tree? Can you do that? Well, if you do that, you can code. And it's if you know everything about these data structures, well, then you can code, and that's not necessarily true. But if you can show them something that's working, they know you can code then. And then they'll give you the benefit of the doubt of any other kind of code trivia that they ask after that.
Right.
Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you got to get stuff to work. I don't know how many binary trees people traverse on a daily basis in their job. I have never done one ever. I mean, so I've never had to do it. And if I did, and I came across that problem, I would head out to Leak Code and teach myself how to do it. And it's not that difficult. It's not a magic bean or a magic pill. I know that people just study algorithm and data structure, and that's the only thing they know, and they don't put apps together. And that's what I want people to avoid, is thinking that is the thing I need to know, data structure and algorithms. That's it. And that's because CS degrees teach that, and that's what they teach. And they don't teach about the construction of an app, whether that be a website, a mobile app, or a desktop app. And there's skills involved in that don't have nothing to do with the data structure of the algorithm. Just how do I put it all together? How do they communicate? How do they talk? So I think demoing your project confidently is a really great way to get hired. So I'm glad it worked out for you.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things. I look at it this way. It's kind of like knowing how the carburetor works in a car, right? Knowing how the engine works internally, but I have no idea how to drive it.
Yeah.
They're two very different things, right? I understand how it works, but I have no idea how to practically use it.
Yeah, and you can take it mechanics too. Mechanics can know all about spark plugs and everything about the engine components. And then you say, have you ever changed an engine out? I haven't done that yet. And then the other guy comes in and goes, I don't know what part you're talking about, but I've changed out 3 or 4 engines in my Ford F-150. I've done it 6 or 7 times. I don't remember the name of the carburetor I used. It was
right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know
but it worked.
It worked. I mean, we can drive it right now if you want to. We can go demo it right now.
Right. There you go. You can get a demo in
so
there.
yes, I think that is more important, showing that you can do the job. So, and we're going to do our best to educate employers that that's the way they should interview. And I think it's just such a better way to do it.
Yep. Definitely. Okay. So Ryoku says, got a question. I was looking at a job listing and they wanted someone who can create pixel perfect layouts from mockups. How does one practice that? Should I try code designs I see on Beyonce?
So, yeah, you just need to practice laying those things out.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's it. Just go look for inspiration. Go look at any site and try and recreate it.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's lots of demos out there, lots of people that have made and then I think that's a great word of pixel perfect layouts, and then talk about it. Yeah. So you're going to be using grid or Flexbox to be the primary thing that you need to start really leaning into. And then the other types of techniques in CSS that where you break the planes, they're not always straight boxes, and how do you do those kind of things? But I mean, that's more of a front end designer type job. And so if that's what you want to do, you're into that. If you're a backend engineer, you're like, I don't really care if it's pixel perfect. So, but it could be a web agency. And so that is a needed skill that they gotta have. Excuse me.
Yeah. I'd also say pixel perfect's an interesting thing too, because what they actually mean by that isn't technically pixel perfect, right? They want it kind of like ballpark, right? Like if you put in a design and like the original was had a 12 pixel margin and yours has 11, right? That's that's not wrong. Don't get stuck up on trying to research like they're trying to make you and trying to figure out exactly the way everything is lined out to the exact pixel. Try and get it approximately right, and then kind of visualize it.
You do have to make judgments based on mobile, tablet, desktop, and then extreme wides, ultra wide. So you're never going to be you can get really close though. I mean, you can make it really good on both of them. But,
Yeah. I would say don't try and over research the current thing, because somebody will be like, oh, I want to go and go into the developer tool to see how much padding they added to that thing there to make it exactly the same. I don't think that's what they're really looking for. They're looking, can I give you an image and can you kind of recreate it until
can you produce
almost exactly the same?
Yeah,
that's really what
exactly.
Okay. Let's see. Taki wants to know, any opinion on being a consultant?
I am one. So what's your
opinion?
You got to sell stuff. I mean, you do more sales than you do coding. So you got to be good at sales.
and accounting and marketing.
Here's two things you're going to run into being a consultant is fee-based agreements and time and material-based agreements. So you got to have your agreements in place. If you're doing fee-based agreements, then you need to really be good at writing scope documents, or you will absolutely lose your shirt. Where you have
that means you end up building more than, or you're spending more time than you thought you would be, right?
Okay. So if you can get away with it, I can do time and materials always, and then you can just get paid for whatever they want. The one to avoid is fixed fee, not to exceed.
Okay, because that means you have to deliver the product regardless of how long it takes, right? Okay.
Time and materials not to exceed, or something like that, is the one I got. I misspoke there, but time and materials not to exceed this. I'm like, well, you mean fixed fee? No, we want to pay you as less as possible, but there's a cap on what we want to pay you, and then you just have to deliver. I'm like, well, that's not going to work,
Yeah.
Because the scope always changes. Scope creep is always a problem with these things, and you always have to end up trying to rein in the scope. And a lot of times clients don't know what the scope is until they see it, but then you're 50% through your budget.
Right.
And then you have to start reining scope in at that point, and it's really hard. Contracting's better starting out because you get paid for your time.
Yep. Wants to know what are thoughts on Web3?
So I think it's a buzzword, and I think it's a collection of technologies that people, the way they talk about it's going to replace the web. It's just not. It's not Web3. I don't know why it's called Web3. Web is, to me, is how we transfer information between a web server and a client, and HTTP being the underlying of that. HTTP or HTTP3 is what's coming out. And we build websites. We view them on a website, and we traditionally sees that. And then we see information between the server and that. The interchange is what Web 2 is. Web 3 doesn't replace that. It's a layer on top of it or underneath that, really, on the back end. So if you want to create an authentication system that's based inside the blockchain, people are talking about that. Can you do it? The question is, can you do it? Yes. The real question is, should we do that? Is that something we need to do? So I was talking to someone the other day. They're saying, hey, we need to put all source code in a blockchain. I'm like, why would we do that ever? Do you know how many times we change source code? It's mutable. It's not immutable. So, and a lot of times people think it's cryptocurrency, and then there's NFTs. And so a lot of people think that their information is somehow going to be more secure if I make it public to everyone. And so that's really not a use case for a lot of things. So it's never going to be the all-encompassing things that people make it out to be. So programming wise, what people are talking about Web3 is building Solidity contracts on top of Ethereum. So they're just saying, hey, I want to learn how to build smart contracts. I'm like, okay, that's a valid pursuit in this. Go for it. Go do it. I think that's a niche market. I think it's smaller than people think. How many companies are doing that? Not all of them. All of them have websites, but not all of them are implementing smart contracts. So I think there's more roles out there for the person trying to break in. But if you happen to hit a company that needs a smart contract solution, say a logistics company, an insurance company, a health provider, or something like that, where they have this immutable object that can't change, and they need to go through a process, I get that. Yeah, there's
definitely use cases for it. Definitely. Yeah. The fact that we just group it all together in this thing we call Web3 is just it's just...
And NFTs is not the use case. NFTs is the thing that people use right now. But there's more applications that will come down the pipe, and that's when you'll see this really take off. But if you can go to OpenSea and craft a NFT, does that make you a Web3 developer? No.
Yeah. Here's my take. I'm not in on Web3 at the minute. I'm not in on NFTs. Crypto, I am. I get it.
Crypto's real. Crypto is real. I
don't think it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. You can't group that in with Web3. I saw this description of Web3 as being this. It's basically it's the same as Web 2, but people have been able to take back their data from bigger companies. And it's a nice. That's not. I like the idea. Don't get me wrong. That's not a bad idea. Web 3 doesn't solve it right now. That's not what it is. It's just not what it is. It's a lot of hype at the minute, is what it is.
We talked about this morning, and Scott Hanselman, the guy at Microsoft, has been tweeting about RSS feeds, and I remarked why is he talking about that? And then and it's just I think I understand what he's talking about now, where is if you were a blogger, instead of you pushing a Medium or DevTO, that you control the data on your own thing, and then you control how it gets disseminated out. And I think that is the promise of, so say, a blockchain. But blockchain means your information goes everywhere, right? And it's easily accessible because it has to be public in order to verify it. So for things that don't need to be public, a source code, like there's never going to be on the blockchain. So I think there's applications here. I just don't think it's the thing, because in order to have a blockchain, a Solidity contract application to work, it's going to be on a website, which means that Web 2 will always be around. I don't know why it's called Web 2. It's just the web. And I think this stuff is just another protocol on the web. So that's just what I think. That's my thoughts, my rant.
Yep. I'm the same. I don't think it solves a problem that we have right now. That's the way I look at it. And the fact that we group all these technologies into this one like Web3 thing just seems kind of misleading.
So let's take identity, for example. Let's say that I create an identity for me and you, and that identity is in a blockchain. So now that the identity is immutable, and so we can figure out who Bobby is and who Kevin is by looking at this identity with different metrics on it.
Right.
But what people don't understand is you can do that without putting it in a blockchain. And then the other problem with Web3 in general is it's freaking expensive to run a contract like that. It's just like, it's crazy. When you start really getting your app, you're like, what are these gas fees? I mean, okay, so if I could just going to collect the information about Kevin anyway, I could put that in some other medium, and that it doesn't have to be in a blockchain, so make it verifiable some other way. Do I need to have my Twitter handle in the blockchain? I don't think so, but someone may do it. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Twitter added NFT profile pictures. I'm like, not interested. Like, I'm just not interested. I mean, I'm not interested in. I haven't bought my own name as a .eth. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I don't care.
Yeah.
It just for me,
it's another domain name. I know. It's like whatever.
Oh yeah. Okay. We have too many domain names, right?
Exactly. I got 75.
There you go. Every idea gets a domain name, right? Which is not a bad idea. I'm not against it. You never know.
Hey, you know what we did? If I had bought one of those, and when we made that reverse the string project, we went through the domain names and we were looking through it. What do you got? And I'm like, look, reverse the string. I've got that.
Exactly. Like, what do we already
used
own?
it.
We own that one already. Great. Let's go with it. Yeah. Oh, they've definitely come in useful. Definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. Okay, let's do another one here. We do have to jump off at 1.
You do have to jump off. Yeah, I got an appointment here at 1. So last one for the road.
Yep. Let me see. I'm gonna pick one out here. I queued up a ton from earlier. Let's see. What is this? When do you know you're ready to apply for a job? I have 2 portfolio projects, a legal generation website, and a scheduling application for my portfolio.
I think you're ready.
Who wants to know? Yeah.
I think you're ready. You got 2 apps and you built them. I can tell by the names. I haven't heard of them. So that means not that I'm the purveyor of but this sounds unique to me to some of what you've built out. So I think you're ready to go. You can also show them to people and see what they think of them. And maybe you'll get some more features. I would say this: make sure they look great. Make sure that they function and look great, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah, and like you say, show it to somebody, but show it to somebody whose opinion you trust. I don't mean like your spouse or your mom or your dad or your kids or whatever, like, because they're going to tell you, yeah, that's great, Oliver, you did awesome. Like, if it's somebody who is already a developer, maybe that you can kind of trust. Throw it out on Twitter, see what people want to. Somebody that you trust. The trolls are always going to be trolls, but get a consensus from people.
And then see the problems you're solving and how they relate to interview questions. That kind of stuff. What problems does your legal generation app solve, and what technologies it use, and then try to relate those interview questions to that website in general. Yeah, sounds cool.
There we go.
All right. Well, I'm going to hop off here, Kevin. It's 1:01. I got to roll today. So
we will not be back on Thursday. I'm actually going to be out on Thursday, so we'll be back next Tuesday, and we'll do this all again. So
we may have some content coming out this week. So in lieu of us Thursday, we may release something on Thursday, so you can look for something from us.
That is the plan. We'll have a video. We just won't be live. So.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for hanging out,
everybody. All right. Good luck. Keep coding. We'll see you Tuesday.